Morning YouTube, and welcome back to the farm. Yesterday we went and treated these parts with Permatex rust treatment, and they are now completely and totally black, which tells me that they're ready for to be reassembled. Now that I've gotten all that taken care of, I'm going to go and attack a different part of this, and we're going to do the vinegar trick. Now what I'm doing here, I've got a camera set up over a vat, and I've gone and put the brake drum slash clutch drum onto it, and I'm using 30% vinegar. Now this isn't the vinegar that you can go buy at the grocery store and pick up so that you can make pickles. This is 30% white vinegar from a garden supply and a farm supply. And believe it or not, farmers use this for an awful lot of things around the farm. Mrs. P uses it to kill grass, and it does a real good job of killing grass. That way you're not spreading chemicals around on the grass when you have critters that you don't want to poison. So, I mean, this has got all sorts of uses, but we're going to use it in this instance. Put it in here and dissolve rust. And let me see here. Turn the camera on. Now we're recording. And I'm going to go and pour our vinegar in. And basically all I'm doing is I'm going to submerge this brake drum in enough vinegar so that it's completely submerged. And then you kind of kick back and just let it do its thing. Now the neat thing about this is after we've gone and done all this, you can take the vinegar and pour it right back into the gallon jug and reuse it. We can go kill weeds with it. Mrs. P goes and puts some soap and some orange oil with it, and you can kill ants. Fire ants and all sorts of other ants, and it'll kill bugs. And what it does is it attacks their exoskeleton and literally melts the exoskeleton off of their bodies. So yeah, that's some pretty caustic stuff, and man, I do not mind telling you, it is some really strong stuff. Woo! I hate the smell of vinegar. It makes me gag. But we've gone and set this up. We'll see how it goes. I got my fingers crossed that the time-lapse camera here will capture the rust just falling off of it. So let's kick back and watch and see what happens. I'm going to go and rig up a light, and then I'm going to have to walk away, because much like this rust treatment stuff here, you got to walk away and let the chemicals do its work. Now I just have to let the chemicals do their thing. Kick back and wait. And I hate that. I'm not a real patient person most of the time. Patience is not necessarily my strong suit. Good morning, YouTube, and welcome back to the farm. It's the next morning. The brake drum has been in here for 20 hours, almost an entire day, and as you may or may not be able to tell from the video there, it's definitely got a red tinge to it. The vinegar has done its job overnight. It's been bubbling, and as I can tell, it's still bubbling, but it's not bubbling near as much as it was, which tells me that an awful lot of the rust has released its bonds and fallen off. Now what I'm going to do this morning is I have a new vat. Let me go and move my very hot trouble light here, get it out of the way, make sure it doesn't melt any plastic on the shelf below. I have another tub that I have put about a gallon or so of just plain old regular water, and this is what we're going to use to stop the chemical reaction that's going on. Let me go grab some baking soda and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is good old Arm & Hammer baking soda, and what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go and empty some of it into that water, and we go and take the brake drum out. Oh, of course they don't make it real easy to open, do they? This is one of those fridge and freezer packages that's meant to open from the side and let it sit in your refrigerator. Okay, here we go. Now I'm getting it. I don't have to use a half a box, but I'm gonna put close to half a box down in there. A little bit more. Yeah, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, that's good. Woo! That vinegar, you can't smell it, but boy, I can. And I hate the smell of that stuff. It's just downright overpowering. I better go get some gloves on, because I'm going to put my hands in this, and as I've said before, it's not just vinegar. It's some pretty caustic stuff. You don't want it on your hands. You definitely don't want this stuff in your eyes, because it's just as bad as acid. Let me go grab some gloves. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I like these nitro gloves that my wife found. They've got dimples all over them, so you can actually grab a hold of stuff easier. And they're thicker. These are like industrial gloves. And them being thicker allows them to be put on an awful lot easier without tearing. I really hate tearing these gloves when I'm putting my hands into caustic stuff. So, let's go in here and stir this baking soda all up. Get it dissolved in the water. Now I'm gonna reach in here and I'm gonna grab the brake drum. Oh yeah, I can already tell an awful lot of that flaky stuff is gone, and what isn't, I can literally rub off with my glove here. And we're gonna pick it up and we're gonna put it over here in the baking soda water. And wow, it turned into an Alka-Seltzer tablet. It is bubbling big time. I'll show you this. And of course the bubbling dies down as soon as I move it. But that's going to stop the chemical reaction. Now what I need to do next is get a scrubby brush and go and see how much of that rust I can scrub off. I got an old scrubby brush that I use in my parts washer. And this will get the stuff off the surface. Oh yeah, this has removed quite a bit. I may have to soak it again. Maybe. Oh yeah, the part of the brake drum got a lot of that crud loose. Flip it over to do the back side. This side was really rusty. And you may have heard me say it before, but this drum was rusted up so badly that it had basically become one with the clutches and the clutch discs. And this has removed an awful lot. Yeah, didn't get rid of it all though. I still see some on here. Oh man, I hate the smell of that stuff. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to soak it a little more. Yep. That's okay. I got like 90% of what was there off. So I definitely made some serious progress. Yeah. Well, that was nice, clean, clear water. Now it's not so clean. But yeah, that rusty stuff's coming off. I think I'll have to soak it for a little while again. There we go. We're gonna let it soak for a few more hours. Like I said, I think I got about 90% of all that crud off, but it could still stand to have a little bit more. Now that I put it back in, it's bubbling away again. So, I'll let it sit and bubble for a while, and we'll come back after breakfast and see where we're at. And we're back a couple of hours later. Still got my baking soda and water vat here, and I've got this in here, and it's still bubbling, and I can still see there's a little rust on there, but luckily most of the rust I could scrape off with my fingernail, and not to mention some of that stuff is probably mouse poop. And notice that I have my gloves on, because again, this is some pretty caustic stuff. Let it drain, and I'll go and put it back in my baking soda. And it's foaming. We're gonna take the brush, go and brush it down again real good so that the baking soda has an opportunity to stop the chemical reaction with the vinegar. Because we want that to stop, because if you leave this in here long enough, the vinegar will actually eat that metal and dissolve it. We're not trying to dissolve the brake drum. We're just trying to get the crud off. And I don't see it bubbling and foaming anymore, which is a good thing. Now we need to go and let it drip. Let it drip dry. Take it out of the vat. And we'll let it drip dry for a little while. Yep, it's still got some rust on it. Awful lot of mouse poop. But now I think I can go after it with a wire wheel and get the rest of it off. And I'm not going to run off and change my vats yet, because after I go after it with a wire wheel, I may want to go and put it back in the vinegar for a little while and do this one more time. We'll see after it dries off, and I go after it with a wire wheel. And we're back a couple hours later, or about an hour later. I let this sit in front of the fan and let it all of the baking soda and everything evaporate. And now I'm setting it up to go after it with a wire wheel. Down here, right in this area, you can see there's still an awful lot of crud that's probably mouse poop, and I know some of it's rust, but we'll go after that and clean it up and see what it looks like when we're done. Like I said, this thing was horribly rusted, and it looks 1,000% better. I mean, totally different. So let's get to work. That's a lot better looking than it was. A lot better. I would venture to say that that is 100% better than it was before. And wouldn't you know it, my phone rings. Hello?
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 Hi, my name is Mike, and I'm calling from cheapinsurancerateonline.com.
God, I hate that. Well, that looks a lot better than it was. However, I've still got some slots in here that these little steel plates slip into that still have a lot of crud in them. And I'm gonna go find a 45-degree angle drill that or a 90-degree angle drill that I've got, and put this little thing on there and see if I can get down in the cracks and crevices a little better. So let me go find that drill. Okay, I went out and found my 45 or 90-degree drill. Originally got this for putting studs or holes in studs for running electrical wiring. Works real handy for that because of the way it works like that. And I just went and got a really aggressive paint stripping wheel, so maybe this will help. I think we're done. I think it's ready for Permatex rust treatment. Because the outside of this brake, where the brake band works, wow, that's rough. Anyway, where the brake band works, the stuff will wear off. But I'm not too worried about that. It's the rest of it. I'm more worried about the little finger holes down in here for the clutch discs, and once we get those all cleared out and free, they'll be all right, and it won't rust again after we go and treat it. So let me go and get set up for that. And we're back, and I have my Permatex rust treatment. We're going to go and hit this with this so that it won't rust again. And we're going to watch as it turns black. Now we'll get to let it sit for about 2 minutes. And it's turning black as we speak. Go hit it with the second coat. There we go. There's the second coat. Now we get to wait a little while again. And we're back for the third coat. I'm going to get down in those crevices in the fingers. I will admit, off camera, before I started spraying everything, I went and took a screwdriver and a little bit of sandpaper and got down into the little machined corners and where the fingers fit in. That way there was no rust left at all on this thing, at all. So it's pretty much ready to rock and roll, man. Yeah, it's good and soaked now. Now pretty soon this thing's going to turn completely and totally black. And just like the other stuff that we did, I've got to go and let this sit for 24 hours before I do anything with it. Now, I'm not going to paint this or anything, but it's going to be ready to reassemble. And due to this rust treatment, it should not rust again. I got rid of all of the mouse poop and the grunge, and we got bare metal to work with, so this stuff ought to work real well. Well, thanks for coming out and hanging out with me on the farm for a little bit, getting some work done. I really appreciate you watching. Leave me a comment down below if you would, please. The more comments and likes I get, the further up I go in that little evil pane on the right hand side of the YouTube page for suggested videos. And that way more people will watch my videos. Come back and see us.